Assalamualaikum everyone. This is me, Maryam, also known as Maryam Data ScienceWali, and our social media platform. So today we are doing an amazing interview with amazing guest, and I will asking the questions about her life journey and work experience. So today my guest name is Aldwyn Altuney. So let's start it without wasting time. We can start the interview and let's welcome her. So hi Aldrin, how are you?
Hello, Miriam. I'm great. Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. It's great to be here.
You're welcome. And I am fine. What about you? How was going there today?
I'm excellent. Actually, we just had a Total Truth Show episode 103 we did today. So we did a fantastic show talking about the truth about healthy habits earlier today. And I'm doing my Global Good News Challenge as well for May 2025, which is all about sharing gratitude and sharing good news. So, so it's been a good day. Thank you, Miriam. How's your day been?
Okay, you're welcome. And so, firstly, I request you can you introduce yourself for my viewers who watching you and for me.
Sorry, I couldn't hear that properly, Miriam.
Okay, so I will ask. I request you. Can you introduce yourself in for me and for my viewers who watching you?
Yes, I can introduce myself. Yes, hi, I'm Aldwyn Altuney, known as the Media Queen. I am based on the Gold Coast in Australia, and I have some online TV shows and podcasts. I've got Media Queen TV on my YouTube channel. You can look up Aldwyn Altuney Media Queen TV. Look up my name and you'll see a whole lot of social media. I have been a photojournalist in the media for 41 years now. I have a chapter in about 20 international best-selling compilation books. I also have my PR company, Xposé Media. We guarantee publicity with what we do. So we help get people into TV, into radio, into print media, and also into online media. And I'm very passionate about helping to share more good news globally to help lift the energy on the planet, to help reduce depression and suicide rates. And in line with this, we started a Good News Day on August 8, 2018, and also the monthly Global Good News Challenge in June 2020, which people can learn about on the Facebook page, Global Good News Challenge. And also I love animals, and I started something called Animal Action Day. It was actually a world first event in 2007, and it was all about awareness, appreciation, and respect for animals. And now we have actually run 18 annual events for animals so far, all about helping to, help with the connection with animals and helping to raise awareness and to help with more kindness to animals. That's a little bit about me, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much for introducing yourself. So we can ask the questions and you will answer. So my first question is, as a host on both Media Queen TV and Animal Action TV, how do you tailor your presenting style to suit such desired audience?
Thank you for putting that there. How do you tailor your presenting style to suit such diverse audiences as Media Queen TV and Animal Action TV? Okay, well, really, it's about being yourself, Miriam. So I don't actually have to change the way I present or what I do, because really, I'm all about authentically being you, about showing up as you. So you don't need to change how you're presenting or how you're being to different audiences, because you just show up as yourself, right? And so if I feel like I want to ask a question to someone about animals, then I'll ask that question to the person about animals. With Media Queen TV, we do a lot of interviews with business people and with coaches and experts and speakers and authors. So these people already have their own expertise that they're very good at. So basically, they just share their expertise. And I just ask, with my presenting style, it's a very natural style. And if I think of asking a question, I'll just ask a question, and it usually flows more like a conversation, rather than sort of question, answer. I think, with yourself, Maryam, and with a lot of the students from Rehan School, it looks like you're doing an amazing job, and many of you so young, and you're getting out there, and this is great to build your confidence. And I think if you're building your confidence and you're just starting out in the media, I think, asking questions and getting answers, I think that's a great format. But also be open to potentially, flowing with the conversation. Because sometimes if you sort of do question, answer, sometimes it can be very much in the head rather than coming from the heart. And I think now with the world of AI, with artificial intelligence, I think people want to connect heart to heart now, because robots don't have a heart, right? We want to connect with your heart. We want to get to know you. We want to get to know your challenges. What is it that you've done to overcome your challenges? They're the most inspiring stories. And this is why I started actually a book project now called Fear to Freedom. I'm doing with a lady called Leanne Clune. It's called Fear to Freedom: Conscious Creators Manifesting Magic. And we have 11 co-authors, and we've got this book coming out in the next few months. And it's all about helping people transition from fear, where they're scared about something, and how they can then find freedom around that. How can people then move from, being scared to actually coming out and taking action, and then finding freedom around whatever we have challenges around. Because, Maryam, life is like a roller coaster ride. We have times we're feeling amazing. We have times that we're not feeling so good. And then, it's like we go up and down, up and down, up and down with our emotions in life. And I think as we do this journey of up and down, we need to learn to navigate the down periods. Like if you're not feeling well, rest, for example, right? If you're feeling great, then, do more things that make you feel great. Look at how you can bring joy into your life. How can you be happier in your life? This is really what it's about. Life is so short, Maryam. Now, Maryam, how old are you? I'm curious. How old are you? I know some of the students from Rehan School have interviewed me, and they're sort of usually quite young, like up to the age of 15. So how old are you, Maryam?
Okay, thank you so much for giving an amazing answer. So my next question is, can you describe a movement when you truly felt your voice made a difference? This is question.
Yeah, I just asked before, Miriam, you might not have heard me. I'm just wondering, what is your age? How old are you? Are you 15? Are you 16? How old are you? Out of curiosity. You look quite young. I can't really tell under the mask. So um,
Uh,
I'm
I
I'm
okay.
51 now. Yeah. How old are
I
you?
okay. I will tell you. I am 14 years old.
14. Oh, that's wonderful, Miriam. I'm so excited for you as a 14-year-old and the students of Rehan School that are doing these interviews. I think it's wonderful, just wonderful. Now, can you describe a moment when you truly felt your voice made a difference? Gosh, that's a great question. Oh, wow. Well, every time I do an animal action event, every time I'm getting a bit emotional, every time I do a podcast like this, every time I do a Global Good News Challenge, every time I speak up about anything that matters to me, I'm making a difference. I can't say there's one moment, Miriam. I'd say there's multiple moments. But one thing that stands out for me that really made a bigger difference was I actually got swept out to sea 2 years ago. I was in a creek in Coffs Harbour, which is in New South Wales in Australia, and I got swept out to sea. I was about a kilometre out in the middle of the ocean, And I was very scared at that time because there was no lifeguards, there was no boats. Thankfully, I got rescued, and people can see the whole story of what happened on my social media if they look up, Coffs Harbour and look up Aldwyn, look up my name and Coffs Harbour, and you'll see what happened with that story. And what was really powerful about that is the next day I went looking online about this area. It was called South Boambi Beach. And I went looking to see, I wonder if there's been any people that have drowned in this area. And I found the council website said this is a safe area for children to swim. And I couldn't believe that the council website said this was a safe area for children to swim. And so I spoke up about it. I got onto the media. I went to Channel 9. We had a story in the paper. I got onto radio. We did all these stories about this and about beach safety, because a lot of people do drown in Australia. There's often very strong rips that come in, and people can get swept out to sea very quickly. And so what happened is, after that, the council changed their website. That day they changed their website to say, be careful of strong currents to take you out to the ocean. And from there, that was really wonderful to be able to make a difference. And also with the live video that I did on Facebook the next day after this happened, I did this live video that's had about 3,000 views. It's been shared a lot, and it's really helping people with the beach safety message. Because if you don't know any better, people who come to Australia, they get caught in the middle of the ocean, and then they try to fight the waves. They try to fight it. If you try to fight the waves and try to swim out of it, you're going to drown, okay? And this happens a lot with tourists that come to Australia. They don't know any better. So what you need to do is you go with it. You need to flow with it. If you're in a rip, you actually eventually come back around. But what I was in a creek that went out to the ocean. So I just kept going further and further and further out. Right now, the ocean was too strong for me to swim back. I had to let go. I had to trust. I had to go with the flow. And this is actually a great analogy of life, because often we want a certain result, right? We're like, I really want this result. I really want this result. And we're like banging our head against a brick wall, wanting a certain result, right? And there's a great saying that says, be committed, not attached. Be committed to what you want, not attached to how it's going to look. Now, I wanted to survive that situation, right? I was committed. I want to survive, but I didn't know if I was going to survive. I was in the middle of the ocean. This area is known for sharks. Okay. And there was no one else around. And I look back to the ocean. I look back to from the ocean to the beach, and the cars were that big. This was a 4-wheel drive beach. The 4-wheel drive was that small. That's how far out to the ocean I was. It was very, very scary. A shark could have taken me at any moment. But thank God I survived. My friends thankfully called for help. They got a guy with a longboard, and they got these 2 guys with jet skis. I was out there for about 1 hour. But thank God I didn't try to fight it, because I would have ran out of breath and I would have drowned. And this is the message that really made a massive difference, by actually speaking up about it, by actually going to the media and saying, hey, this area is not a safe area for children to swim. You've got to be very careful. And if you get caught out there, this is what you do to survive it. Now, I had 2 girlfriends with me that day, and if they got swept out to sea, they'd said they definitely would have drowned, because they wouldn't have known what to do. And this is where information is power, right? And especially when you act on the information, right? And that was one area that was huge and made a big difference. But also, all the animal action events, we've gained millions of dollars worth of TV and radio and print exposure for the different animal charities, helping to raise awareness. And this is not about not eating meat. This is about treating animals kindly. If you're going to kill an animal, kill them quickly and humanely. Don't let them suffer, right? There's a lot of people who are not only hurting animals, but they're hurting other people, because hurt people hurt people, and healed people heal people, right? So for the students of Rehan School, I say to you right now, if you've got anyone in your life who's being nasty to you right now, who's not being nice to you, it's not about you. It's about them, okay? Because hurt people hurt people. All right. So really building that self-love, building that resilience is so important in life. To have a great life, you have to have self-love. You have, like, you are one in a billion just by birth, right? You beat a billion swimmers to get to the finish line. Okay. You know, you are extraordinary as a human being, and there's a reason you're here on the planet. And don't let anyone bully you around or tell you that you're no good or that you don't belong or that you're not loved, because that is not correct. Okay. You do belong. You are loved, and you are good enough.
Okay, really nice. So my next question is, if you could solve one global issue overnight, what should it be and why?
If I could solve, oh, that's a great question. If I could solve one global issue overnight, what would it be and why? I would create world peace. That's what I would want for the world. You know, there are no winners in war other than the people that make the weapons. Okay. The people that make the weapons are the only winners in war, and usually they come out of America. Okay. So there's a lot of other agendas at play behind wars. Okay. Now, wars are a very profitable thing for the people that make the weapons. So if there's one thing I would change, I would create world peace, because world peace will mean that people won't die unnecessarily. Animals won't die unnecessarily. If people could just be kind to themselves and kind to others, and we could actually end world peace. And if the people that are making all this money, if they actually put their interest for money aside and actually cared more for the people than they did about making money, then I think we would have a much happier, more peaceful world. So that is one thing I would definitely change, is I would create world peace just like that. And it can happen in a heartbeat. It can happen quickly. And it comes down to us. It comes down to us being kind with ourselves, being kind to others, with us being a stand for peace, right? With us stopping all the fighting and the drama. We don't have to live like this. We can live a peaceful, powerful world without being angry, without fighting each other, without killing each other, right? That is something I would definitely end. So with that world peace comes more respect for people and for animals, and it means we're all going to have a much better life.
Okay, that's nice. So my next question is, what inspired you to start inspiring media, and how does it differ from your other media ventures?
What inspired you to start inspiring media, and how does it differ from your other media ventures? Well, I have a media business actually called AA Xposé Media. That's my media business. And I actually worked as a journalist for 20 years. I worked in TV, radio, and print media. I actually first featured in the media when I was 10 years of age. I was a top junior table tennis player in Sydney, and I was in the Manly Daily at 10 years of age. I mentioned I'm 51, and I'm very happy to say I'm 51. I'm not one of these people that says I'm 21 for the next 20 years, right? I'm 51, and I'm proud of it. I feel amazing at 51. And 11 years of age, I was on Cartoon Connection, which is a show that was on Channel 7. I was out in front of 2 million people. I then did a media degree, and I loved journalism, and I loved the fact that you could influence change through speaking up about things in life that either for me that mattered to me, or things that I cared about. And back when I started, Maryam, this is like a whole new world for you, because it was before you were born. There was no social media, believe it or not. There was no social media. So if you can imagine a time when the only news that we got was from the TV or from radio or from magazines or newspapers, no social media, okay? Because Facebook only started in 2004, right? It's only been around about 20 years, 21 years. So back then, I used to watch the TV. I'd watch documentaries, right? And whenever I'd hear something or watch something that I was upset about, I would write about it. I would write about it in the local paper, actually, when I was at the University of Canberra, I edited the university newspaper called Curio. And I used to write stories about, things about like female circumcision, and about, animal, like I couldn't believe with cage eggs how chickens were treated when people buy cage eggs. I did stories about recycling, about the environment, about looking after the environment. So these were some of the foundation of where I started as a journalist. And then from there, I've interviewed some amazing celebrities like Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, Cyndi Lauper, Debbie Harry from Blondie. I've had the great fortune as an entertainment reporter for many years that I interviewed some phenomenal people. And then I decided to start a photography business because I'm a photojournalist by trade. I started a photography business in 2002 after having a few small car accidents working with another company in Brisbane. And then in 2005, it evolved into a media business, and now it's Xposé Media. And at the heart of what we do is inspiring more good news. And why do I do that? Because I've personally had depression, and 1 in 3 people have depression. And I found out many years later that it was because I was internalizing my anger. Now, if you do feel anger, it's good to express it, not to harm anybody else. But sometimes just going into the jungle and having a good scream could be a good way to express your anger, right? And the other reason I started the inspiring media work that I do is because I've had 4 friends who have suicided and taken their own lives by the age of 45. So that's another reason I started it. And I saw firsthand, because my dad used to watch the news all the time, negative news. You watch the negative news, you put the TV on, and literally, if you're not depressed by the time you start watching the news, you will be depressed by the time you finish watching the news because it's all so damn negative. There might be one positive story. Okay, maybe 99% negative news, right? And I do believe, it's having people living in fear, and we need to rise above it. We need to say enough of this negative news. Be the change you wish to see in the world, as Gandhi says, right? So if you're not happy with something out there, then do something to change it. Be the change you wish to see in the world. I got sick of all the negative news. I thought, right, I want to get some more good news out there. And now, thank God, we have social media. So we can all share positive news. We can all share things we're grateful for. In fact, people watching this right now, what are you grateful for? Pop something in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. What are you grateful for today? It's such a simple question, yet for a lot of people, they have no idea how to answer it. It can be simply, tonight's dinner. It can be that I'm happy I have a roof over my head. I'm happy that I have a healthy body. I am so grateful for all of these things, right? And rather than focusing on all the things we don't like in life, all the things to whinge about, focus on the things we can be grateful for. And this is where prayer, and this is whatever your religion, I don't care what your religion is, this is about having faith. It's about, I love meditating, getting into presence, realizing that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we are much more than this flesh and bone. And no matter how much money we have in life, we're never going to take it with us to the other side when we die, right? You're not going to take any of that money with you. So, it's more important to be a good person. Now, there's nothing wrong with making money. Of course, money gives you choices, money gives you opportunities. I guess what I'm talking about here is, don't be attached to the money in life, and some of these very greedy people that own the weapons companies, or that, are poisoning parts of the world, they're just thinking about money. They're not thinking about the people. And, when that happens, well, first it's putting out very bad karma. I do believe in karma. And I think, you get what you put out in life, right? If you're going to treat others like that, then it'll come back to you. Yeah, so be kind always. Be kind and be grateful, and be the change you wish to see in the world.
Okay, that's great. So my next question is, what's been your most memorable or impactful interview on Media Point TV?
My most memorable or impactful interview was actually with a guy called Barry Crocker. He's a legend in Australian entertainment circles. I interviewed him last year. He was 88 years of age, and he's a phenomenal guy. He's been on TV, he's done stage, he's done music, he did a Banjo Patterson show. He's just a wonderful human being, beautiful man. And we did a 1 hour, 45-minute interview with him. It's the longest interview he's ever had his whole life. And he absolutely loved it. And he's now 89 years of age. He's written a book, and he's going strong. So Barry Crocker is definitely the most memorable one that I've done. Yeah, so that, and there look many others. I've interviewed some phenomenal people, a lot of amazing business people, a lot of, amazing personal development people. I mean, I've interviewed John DeMartini. I've interviewed, as I said, some of those celebrities. I interviewed Charlie Sheen and Jewel on stage in LA in front of 2,500 people from 75 countries. So I've done some phenomenal interviews in my time, and they're some of the better known people. But so like we interviewed a blind person on Total Truth Show, and that was an extraordinary interview. There's many we've done with people that you don't know that have got amazing stories to share.
Okay, yes, good and amazing. So my next question is, how has your experience as a photojournalist influenced your storytelling approach as a director and presenter?
It's a great question. How has your experience as a photojournalist influenced your storytelling approach as a director and presenter? Gosh, I think it's been absolutely crucial to have a photojournalism background with what I do. If you look at my social media, I take a lot of photos. If I didn't have the photography experience I have, which I started back in the film days when you had to know how to take a photo before digital photography, probably before you were born, Maryam, there was something called film photography, right? And we weren't able to see the photo straight away on the back of the camera, right? And back in those days, you had to know what a shutter was, what an aperture was, you had to know how to frame things correctly. You had to know about proper lighting because you only got one go, generally. I mean, unless you wanted to waste a lot of film, it was a very expensive exercise back then, right? So really, you had to know how to take a photo properly. So that has been at the heart of everything I do with presenting visually. I'm always thinking about lighting and framing. I do a lot of selfie photos. I'm always doing selfies at a certain angle. I'm looking into the light, 45-degree angle, looking up. It always gives you a more complimentary look. When I take photos of others, I'm thinking about that. And with my storytelling approach, I think my news background, my photojournalism background has a very strong sense of justice about it. It has a very strong sense of speak up about something. If you're not happy about it, speak up about it. Otherwise, stop whinging about it. Don't whinge about it if you're not going to do something about it, right? So that has been essentially at the heart of everything I've done as well, is actually, being willing and having the courage to speak up about it. Because the more you speak up, look, you're going to have people that love you and people that hate you anyway, Maryam, right? And in life, you're going to have people that love you and people that hate you. The more you speak up and step up, you're going to have more people that love you and more people that hate you. And if you don't have enough haters, you're not making a big enough impact. Okay, so you're going to have your haters and you need to be okay with that. And I always, with the haters, I bless and release. In fact, I send them love because obviously they're hurting people, right? Obviously, because hurt people. We know this. And hurt people try and put other people down because they want to make themselves feel better, right? So I send them love. I bless and release. You do not need to put up with any bullying or harassment in your life, and you do not need those people in your life. So if you have people like that in your life, you want to bless and release them quick, smart, and get them out of your life.
Okay, that's fantastic. So my next question is, what advice would you give inspiring journalists looking to balance facts and emotional impact in their stories?
What advice would you give aspiring journalists looking to balance facts and emotional impact in their stories? Oh, that's a great one as well. Well, firstly, with the facts, let's look at that firstly. Now, with the facts, okay, don't believe everything you hear in the mainstream media, firstly, okay? Now, what we've seen through the whole pandemic period is we've seen a lot of censorship that has happened on Facebook and on YouTube. And this censorship has led people to go to other platforms such as places like BitChute, Rumble, Telegram, Signal. There's a lot of media outlets out there now where there's no censorship of information. When it comes to researching the facts, you cannot believe everything you hear in the mainstream media because there's other agendas at play. The people that own the media outlets usually have some kind of financial interest, not always, but many times there's other financial interests at play with the people that run the media companies, with people that run the TV stations. They have interests in some of the things that are being pushed through the media. They have financial interests, which means you're not getting a completely balanced story. You're getting a very one-sided story. And this is what we saw through the pandemic, right? We saw people that were coerced into taking the jab, for example, that they didn't want to take it. And we had all sorts of people getting sick. We had people, some people died, lots of side effects. But of course, you won't see that in the mainstream media because there's censorship that happens in the mainstream media. Now, some people took the jab and they were fine, okay? Some people were fine, but it's kind of like Russian roulette. But if you go on places like Rumble and BitChute and you look up, injured people from what happened in the last 5 years, you will see all sorts of information that will blow your mind. So firstly, do your research, okay? If you want to present the facts, do your research properly. Now, with emotional content, what I do there to balance the facts and emotion, I always say, come from the heart, right? Come from the heart. And, one of my great mentors, one of my speakers, he said to me, he said that what he says before he speaks and before he gets on stage, he says a little prayer and he says, it's not me, but through me. It's not me, but through me. Right? It's like God speaks through you. It's not you speaking. It's God speaking through you. So we need to actually let go of our humanness in some ways and get that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Now, Maryam, I have in my heritage, I have Ukrainian, Greek, and Turkish background, okay? I have my great-grandparents were killed in the Ukraine for stepping up. They were kulaks in the Ukraine outside of Kiev. And when Stalin took over and turned it communist, they killed off 30,000 kulaks. And the kulaks were the rich, the wealthy people, or and my great-grandparents were farmers. They were farmers. They had land. They had people working the land. They made food, for the people. And what happened? They killed off 30,000 kulaks and then they starved because they killed all the farmers off, right? So that was a really stupid thing for Stalin to do back then. But anyway, in my heritage, I have great-grandparents who were killed for stepping up. They actually got hung outside the front of their house, okay? And then their son was my granddad, my dad's dad. He was in another part of the Ukraine at the time, and he started to now speak up against the government. He said, he was horrified that they'd killed his parents. And then his friends came to him and they said, you better get out of here now because now they're coming to kill you too, right? So, and so he ran away to Turkey and met my dad's mum, who was Greek, right? So hence the Greek, Turkish, Ukrainian background. And then my parents migrated to Australia in 1970. So what's happened here is we have in our DNA, we have 16 generations, about 16 generations in our DNA. So in my family, I have people who were killed for stepping up and who were running for their life for speaking up. And what do I do now? I help people step up and speak up. And I know I'm supported by my ancestors. My ancestors are right here with me. We might not see them, but I know they're here because I can feel them. Okay, we have our ancestors supporting us in whatever it is that we are doing, and it's important to let go of trying to control everything. Don't worry about looking good on camera or anything like that, right? Just focus on being of service, right? There's no greater purpose than being of service, and speak from the heart. Not everyone will agree with you. That's okay, right? I always say question everything. Question everything. Don't believe what I'm telling you. Go out, do your own research. Okay, and don't do your research on just YouTube and Facebook because you're not going to get the whole truth. You need to look at places like BitChute and Rumble and Telegram. Have a look at some of these other platforms where you have freedom of information. And it's not conspiracy. All the conspiracies are coming true, right? It's not conspiracy. And in fact, the word conspiracy theory was created by the CIA in the 1950s to knock anyone who spoke against the government. And I think what's happening now, Maryam, that's very exciting. What's happening now is the people are starting to speak up more. They're starting to see the lies and deception that have happened through government, through media, and they've had enough. And they're like, okay, we're going to start speaking up. We're going to step up more. So, doing something like the Global Good News Challenge can be a great way to share your truth and to share from the heart. So that's how you balance it. You do your research properly and you build your self-confidence. Do the personal development work. Find ways to find self-love for yourself so that you can really speak up with confidence and really make the difference that you are here to make. That's really what's so important. And yeah, it's been one hell of a ride. I must say, I'm very grateful for the phenomenal career I've had in the media. And I really appreciate everybody I've interviewed. In the last month, I've actually had 2 friends who have died unexpectedly. And, they were really way too young to be dying. I would have expected they would have had at least another 40, 50 years on the planet. However, they died. And I think, with 2 friends dying in the last month, I think it reminds you how fragile life is. Life is incredibly fragile. A third of people die by 65, and 90% of people die with regrets. Okay, so you don't want to be one of those people dying with regrets. So the more that you step up and speak up in life, and I love what you're doing at Rehan School, and very happy to do interviews with you, Maryam, and with your fellow students. And I send you all very much love, and I'm very grateful for you. And I think it's wonderful that you are stepping up and you're speaking up and sharing and interviewing people and capturing their stories before they die. Well done. Good job for you. Good job. In fact, Maryam, I'm going to give you the clap as well today. Yay! There you go. There's the clap for you as well. Well done to the students at Rehan School. And I know you're led by a very amazing man, aren't you, at Rehan School? So, yeah, it's wonderful. Any other questions, Maryam, today? There've been some great questions. I love your questions. Really been a wonderful interview.
Okay, so my next question is, do you have any powerful message you can give me and my viewers who
go to the beach? I love to do these interviews. I love to go do yoga. I love doing yoga. I think that's quite big in Pakistan, isn't it? I love to do meditation. All these things I love to do. I love to have family time. I love to eat food. All these things. What do you love to do? And obviously not eating too much food, because that's not healthy. And actually, we did this great show today on Total Truth Show, The Truth About Healthy Habits. It's worth go and see that. So that's what I'd say live your best life, because it is so short, and it will, before you know it, you'll be 51, Maryam, and you'll think, oh my gosh, where did the last 51 years go? It goes that quick, and it gets faster as you get older. It gets faster and faster. So every year is a blessing. Make the most of every moment, make the most of every day, appreciate the people in your life, because you never know when they won't be there anymore, right? So really make the most of the time you have with your family and your friends and those you love.
Okay, that's great advice, and I hope we are apply this advice and learn in. And I hope we have many things learned in this interview. So time is 1:08 p.m. in Pakistan Standard, and day is Friday. Date is 2 May 2025. So that interview is ended for 1:08 p.m. So I hope we are like this interview and rate our new interview with a special guest. So thank you so much. Then you can give all the questions, all the answers of my questions, and giving a precious soul time. That's for me is a big priority. So viewers, goodbye, take care, and Allah Hafiz.
Thank
Pakistan
you.
Zindabad.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you, Maryam.
You're welcome.